On Global TV News Prime, President Tinubu leads tribute as late Chief of Army Staff is buried at National Cemetery. President Tinubu confers CFR on late Chief of Army Staff Lagbaja. In business, National Bureau of Statistics reveals Nigeria's inflation rose to 33.88% in October. On the foreign scene, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump meets Argentina's Javier Milei ahead of conservative summit. And in sports, Brazilian forward Gabriel Martinelli hails Ibrahima Konate as Kylie Walker's toughest defenders. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Queen Agaba. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nightcomsat. President Bola Tinubu has led the nation in paying final respect to the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, who was laid to rest at the National Military Cemetery in Abuja. President Tinubu, Vice President Shatima, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas, Chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum and Governor of Kwara State Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, Minister of Defense Badaru Abubakar, service chiefs, among others, laid wreaths in honor of the general. In his remarks, the president praised Lagbaja for distinguishing himself as a thoroughbred professional soldier throughout his military career, adding that his legacy of service will be cherished forever. President Bola Tinubu also conferred a posthumous national honor on the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja. The president announced the conferment of the Commander of the Federal Republic honor on Lagbaja during the burial ceremony at the late Army Chief in Abuja today. The president said the honor was a recognition of Lagbaja's service to the nation. He further described Lagbaja as one of his best appointees, that the late Chief of Army Staff was a true soldier, a general, and an officer who symbolized the best of his profession and whose commitment to the nation he loved was singular and undiluted. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has assured Nigerians that the death of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, would propel them to defeat the nation's enemies wherever they may be. He spoke at the burial of the late Chief of Army Staff in Abuja today, as he says the Army will not leave him alone, and knowing that his loss is immeasurable, but they take solace in knowing that he lived a life of purpose and left behind a legacy that will never fade. He also encouraged officers and men to use the moment to recommit themselves to the ideas for which General Lagbaja stood for. The National Judicial Council, NJC, chaired by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honorable Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, found two heads of court guilty of age falsification. The council took decisive action against judicial misconduct, recommending the compulsory retirement of two heads of court, suspended justices of the Anambra and Rivers State High Courts from performing judicial functions, and imposed sanctions on several other judicial officers. Justice G.C. Aguma and Justice A.O. Nwambunike were both suspended for a period of 1 year without pay and placed on watch list for 2 years thereafter. Meanwhile, the Chief Judge of Imo State, Justice Chukwuemeka Chikeka, and the Grand Cadi of Yobe State, Honorable Kadi Babagana Madi, had in their bid to remain on the bench falsified their age. According to a statement by the Deputy Director of Information of NJC, Kemi Babalola Ogedengbe, said these decisions were taken at the 107th meeting of the NJC held on November 13th and 14th, 2024. The Supreme Court has dismissed the suit instituted by 16 states of the Federation against the Attorney General of the Federation, challenging the constitutionality of the law that established the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and two other anti-corruption agencies. The seven-man panel of justices led by Justice Uwani Abaji, in a unanimous decision, dismissed the suit for lacking in merit. Justice Abba Aji held that the states were completely wrong in holding that EFCC established by an act of the National Assembly was an illegal and unlawful body, and thereby ruled that the EFCC Act, which is not a treaty but a convention, does not need the ratification of the Houses of Assembly. The other agencies are the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, and the National Financial Intelligence Unit. The suit, instituted by Attorneys General of the 16 states, had sought the scrapping of the anti-graft agency, in which the court had earlier dismissed all objections of the federal government to the suit. Justice Abaji said the plaintiff's case was against the Attorney General of the Federation and not any of the agencies mentioned. Hence, the Supreme Court has jurisdiction to determine it. President Bola Tinubu has urged stakeholders and the electorate in the Ondo State off-cycle governorship election to uphold peace and decorum as they carry out their civic responsibilities without fear or before or after the exercise. President Tinubu, in a statement issued by his Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said he expects a democratic process in the state that will genuinely reflect the people's will and power to freely choose their leaders. He commended the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for its diligent preparations for the election, particularly its timely distribution of sensitive materials across all 18 local government areas in the state. Ahead of the governorship election scheduled for Saturday in Ondo State, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has assured the electorate that enough security personnel had been deployed to ensure a peaceful and credible election. General Musa, who was in the state to boost the morale of the security teams deployed for the election by the directive of President Bola Tinubu, reassured that all security agencies will work together. He urged heads of security agencies, including the NSCDC, Immigration, FRSC, and the police, to ensure their personnel maintain professionalism throughout the election. While providing an update on the military's role, the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, emphasized that the armed forces would work closely with the police to guarantee a peaceful election. Meanwhile, the Yoruba Youth Council, YCC, has kicked against the call for the removal of the national chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu. The YCC, in a statement by its president, Eric Oluwole, stated that the timing of these calls, emerging just days before the governorship election in Ondo State, raises concerns about possible political motives, stressing that such calls are ill-motivated and baseless. While reacting to the Yakubu must go trending on X, Oluwole noted that the council condemns in strong terms the recent calls as it is against Nigeria's national interest. Less than 12 hours before the Ondo governorship election, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has reinstated Olorunfemi Ayodele Festus as the Labour Party candidate. This decision follows a Court of Appeal ruling which nullified a federal high court judgment that had directed the INEC to recognize Olushola Ebiseni as the Labour Party candidate. In a statement shared on its X handle, INEC clarified that Ayodele's name was initially published as the Labour Party's candidate. The statement further read, the commission was yesterday, 14th November 2024, served with the certified true copy of the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which set aside the judgment of the Federal High Court, Abuja Division. The Nigerian police force has identified and detained officers allegedly involved in the extortion of 2.3 million naira from Nwosu Ndubisi. This was disclosed in a statement by the Zone 7 Police Command's Police Public Relations Officer, DSP MB Abdul Kadir, on X. Abdul Kadir noted that the 2.3 million naira has been recovered and returned to the victim after investigations were conducted and disciplinary proceedings have commenced against the officers. According to the statement, the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 7 Headquarters Abuja, Bennett Sigwe, reassured the public that in line with the transparency and accountability policy of the present Inspector General of Police, Olukayode Egbetokun, the zone will update members of the public on the outcome of the disciplinary proceedings against the defaulters. Recall that the incident became known after Harrison Gwamnishu, an ex-user, revealed that officers allegedly extorted 2.3 million naira from Ndubisi, forcing him to sell his laptop to pay for his bail. The federal government has stated that President Bola Tinubu's policies are designed to deliver sustained results in the lives and livelihoods of tens of millions of expectant Nigerians. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris stated this in his address at the National Advertising Conference in Abuja, themed Navigating the Shift, Technology, Culture and New Business Models. The minister, represented by the Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Lanre Isao Nilu, warned advertisers and content creators to be wary of data privacy and cybersecurity. He appealed to advertisers to support and promote the reforms being implemented by the president, using their platforms to amplify the administration's vision for a more prosperous Nigeria. The Nigerian Navy of the Oguta Naval Base has brought healthcare services to Oshuogbodo community in Oguta local government area of Imo State. Global Television's Imo State correspondent Amarachi Ibe has more.
This is St. Michael's Secondary School in Oguta local government area of Imo State, the venue of the medical outreach put together by Nigerian Navy to provide critical health services to the community. The commander of Oguta Naval Base, Mohammed Bashiru, represented by Okeme Anthony, executive officer, says the outreach is not just about medical checkups, but focuses on building trust with the community.
In line with the Nigerian Navy's mandate and the vision of the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral E.I. Ogala, the Naval Base Oguta organized this medical outreach to improve a better working relationship with the good people of Oshuogbodo community here in Imo State, as well as also enhance our corporate social responsibility in our host community. For the past 3 years, and in these 3 years, the relationship has been very good.
The traditional ruler of the community, Alphonsus Uzoma, and the principal of St. Michael's Secondary School, Oguta, thanked the Nigerian Navy for the kind gesture.
I thank the government and the Naval people for this gesture, for the health of the people. People say health is wealth, so we are happy. And I think that they say let it be annual, so that the health of the people will improve.
Impressed, and they pray that they continue to repeat this almost every term. I'm highly impressed.
Highlights of the event include health education, seizing on body care and preventive health, as well as screening for blood pressure and blood sugar levels. The Nigerian Navy team also distributed insecticide-treated nets, free medication, and provided medical consultations. The Nigerian Navy Oguta Naval Base has not only extended a hand in protecting our nation's waters, but has also demonstrated a commitment to the health and well-being of Oshuogbodo community. From Oshuogbodo community in Oguta local government area of Imo State, Amarachi Ibe reporting for Global TV News. You're watching News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live
From the nation's capital, Abuja, when news cycle returns, National Bureau of Statistics reveals Nigeria's inflation rose to 33.88% in October. Details of this as well as foreign and sports stories coming right after this break. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. If you've just joined us, this is Global Television, bringing you live broadcast of the News Prime. In business now, bank customers and point-of-sale operators in some states across the country have raised concerns over alleged cash squeeze. This is coming as citizens in Bauchi, Borno, Kaduna, Kano, Kebbi, Taraba, as well as some satellite towns of the Federal Capital Territory try to meet their increasing demand for notes, especially as Yuletide shopping begins. The scarcity, which has reportedly lasted over a week in these states, come amidst data from the Central Bank of Nigeria, which revealed that the total currency in circulation has reached 4.14 trillion naira, with 3.87 trillion of these amounts currently outside the banking system. The recent CBN data indicates that 93.34% of the nation's currency is in the hands of individuals and businesses, while only 6.66% remains within the banking sector. The presidency says the Nigeria's deep water oil projects now deliver competitive returns, and the country has moved from bottom quartile of 13 indexed countries to top 3. Special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on energy, Olu Vehijan, disclosed this in a keynote address at an executive session of the Energy Institute and the National Association of Petroleum Explorationists. Vehijan noted that in deep water gas, Nigeria has moved from a total absence of a fiscal framework to having one of the first time in history, adding that the feats were attained by major oil and gas sector reforms by the President Bola Tinubu's administration aimed at improving fiscal attractiveness and ease of doing business. National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) reveals that Nigeria's inflation rate surged from 33.88% in October 2024 up from 32.70% in September. According to the Consumer Product Index report released by the National Bureau of Statistics, the inflation soared by 1.18% from the 32.70% recorded in September 2024. The movement indicated a 1.18% point increase month on month. On a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 6.55% points higher than the rate recorded in October 2023, which was 27.33%. On the foreign scene, the Palestinian government has commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's support and called on other world leaders to ensure concerted efforts to end the war in Gaza. The Palestinian envoy to Nigeria, Abdallah Abdul Shawesh, made this remark at a media interactive session with media professionals in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Anthony Momodu reports from the Palestinian Embassy in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja.
The Palestinian ambassador, Abdullah Abu Shawesh, says the call by one of Africa's most respected leaders was a strong indication of Africa's backing to end the carnage in Gaza and the Middle East. He described such a call as an indication of support from the African continent.
He declared it a few days ago in the Arab Islamic Summit in Saudi Arabia. It came from the important and the heavy political weight of Nigeria itself. Nigeria have, of course, a very heavy political weight all around the world. And once the top official of Nigeria to say something like this, all the world, of course, will take it into consideration, especially the African continent. They will. We know that many of African country is taking Nigeria as one of the leaders of their political moves.
Abdullah said despite the call by the acting United Nations Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs, Joyce Musia, for the United Nations Security Council to act fast to end the carnage, the United States remains the clog in the wheel of achieving peace in Gaza via its abuse of its veto power.
The Security Council, or are the Security Council member able to move or to take any step forward to put an end to this carnage? Yes, if and only if the United States of America remove its hand and stop using the veto. And unfortunately, during the last 13 months, we all witness how many times did the United States of America use the veto power.
In the coming months, the occupied West Bank will be in the eye of the storm. Israel intends to extend its sovereignty over it, believing that the upcoming U.S. administration will support this move. Anthony Momodu reporting for Global Television.
U.S. President Donald Trump has said it was an honor to meet Argentina's President Javier Milei in Florida ahead of a conservative investment summit. The right-wing leader is the first foreign leader to meet Trump since his U.S. presidential election victory on 5th November. At a gala at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort, Milei congratulated the president-elect and said it proved that the forces of heaven were on their side. Milei is expected to attend the Conservative Political Action Conference Investor Summit. Over to sports now. Super Eagles goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali has announced the death of his father. He took to his personal Instagram page to make the announcement. Nwabali shared a heartfelt tribute accompanied by a tearful emoji expressing his grief. Nwabali, however, did not disclose the cause of his father's death. Victor Osimhen tallied Segun Odegbami's Nigeria scoring record of 23 goals with his efforts that pulled the Super Eagles level in Thursday's 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying Group D draws against the Benin Republic. The Napoli Loni, who has taken the Turkish Super League by storm, rose above a sea of cheaters defenders to nod home on 81 minutes, his 23rd in 38 appearances for Nigeria since making his debut in 2017. He also matched the feat of Segun Odegbami, who scored the same number of goals in 47 appearances for Nigeria between 1976 and 1981. Brazilian forward and Arsenal attacker Gabriel Martinelli hails Liverpool's Ibrahima Konate and Manchester City's Kylie Walker for praise, noting that they are the toughest defenders he has ever faced in the English Premier League. 23-year-old Martinelli stated this in an interview, insisting that both players are tough to beat, recalling his encounters he has had with both defenders. Recall that Martinelli's goal in the 60th minute against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge was not enough to earn Arsenal 3 points in their quest to win the Premier League title, which has eluded Arsenal for over 20 years. He was also part of the Brazilian side that played a 1-1 stalemate against Venezuela in the World Cup qualifiers. As we end the Global News Prime, let's take a look at our top stories. President Bola Tinubu leads tribute as late Chief of Army Staff is buried at National Cemetery. President Tinubu confers CFR on late Chief of Army Staff Lagbaja. National Bureau of Statistics reveals Nigeria's inflation rose to 33.88% in October. On the foreign scene, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump meets Argentina's Javier Milei ahead of conservative summit. In sports, Brazilian forward Gabriel Martinelli hails Ibrahima Konate and Kylie Walker as toughest defenders. That's it on the News Prime, and it came to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times, channel 276, and free to air on Nightcomsat. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. I am Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching and see you again.